Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
This is Dr. Tamara Patzer. Welcome to Expert Profiles. We bring you in-depth conversations with professionals who are experts in their field. And today we have the privilege of speaking with Dr. Emily Letran. She's a general dentist and owner of 2 multi-specialty group practices in Southern California. And her journey actually began as a refugee. And now, of course, she's a successful entrepreneur and an author, best-selling author. And her entire story is really inspiring. And everything she does is just exceptional. And her other company is called Action to Win. So that tells you right there what Dr. Emily is all about. She is a certified high-performance coach, and she helps business professionals achieve their highest potential in both their personal and business lives. Through her expertise in high-performance coaching, business marketing, and team building, Dr. Letran helps her clients achieve clarity, energy, courage, productivity, and influence. In addition to her professional achievements, Emily Letran is actively involved in community service. She sponsors local school and charity events and more. She's created the Emily Letran Foundation, which is dedicated to providing basic dental care to veterans and their families from disadvantaged backgrounds. We're going to talk a lot about high-performance coaching and business in your business and professional lives. So let's just go ahead and dive right in. Welcome, Dr. Emily.
Thank you so much for having me on your platform here, Tammy, and thank you for taking the time to establish this platform so some of us influencers can share our expertise, our stories, and inspire action from the people around us.
I think that's what you are, inspired action in action. I watch you. You're one of those people where I'm sure people say, how do you have so much energy? How do you do this? Because I know I get out of breath just watching your global travels. I mean, one day you're in Southern California working, another day you're in Dubai speaking. You win all of these awards. I believe you're united. I mean, like I said, you just are somebody that I just say, how does she do that? So with that, can you explain the concept of high performance coaching and how it can benefit individuals in both their business and their professional lives?
Yes, I would love to explain that. I think we all want to live extraordinary lives, right? Wherever you are, there's always one more step to go up. Because the better you do, say in business, the better you can take care of your family and serve your community and create impact to the people around you. So high performance is that heightened and sustained level of clarity, energy, productivity, courage, and influence. And when I'm coaching individuals on high performance, it could be in their personal life. So say they are stay-at-home mom and they're struggling with taking care of all the kids and maybe still be part of the community, and maybe they're taking care of the elderly parents and they feel overwhelmed. Or it could be a business owner that, you go to work and you focus on work and you're wondering if you're doing a good job as a mom or as a dad, and then when you're at home, you're worrying about your business and you haven't created that business that can run without you. And that doesn't mean that you don't want to work in your business. It just means that you have set up those systems where business can run without you. So you can choose to be in it, or maybe you're traveling, you're not in it, but creating really that bubble, right? That economy that you sustain, and that economy support you regardless of what's going on outside your own economy. So in high performance coaching, the very first thing we focus on is clarity, which is knowing who you are and knowing your values and what's most important to you. You won't believe how many people, when I ask them what they want. So for example, let's say I'm coaching a dentist and I ask, well, what do you want? And the dentist say, well, $1 million practice. And when I ask, why 1 million? Why not 3 million? Why not 10 million? The person has no idea why it should be 1 million. It's just because everybody is talking about $1 million business. Then you just set your target at 1 million, right? Because you can certainly do 500 and net 300. And I'm sure that already give you a comfortable life. And so why do you need to do 1 million? So when you don't have that clarity, you find yourself chasing things that may not be meaningful to you. It's everybody else chasing that, but it may not be actually meaningful to you. So I help people ask those difficult questions. The question that when you ask yourself, you need to be comfortable with your answer, and you need to be very clear why you want certain things. Because once you know that, then it's very easy to design your action plan. It's easy to say, you know what, I want to be real productive doing X because X means the most to me. You were talking about me traveling, and people ask me also, well, you're going here and you're going there and you're going there. Well, why are you doing all those things? It's actually very strategic. For example, when I went and spoke in Dubai, it was with a group of outstanding women clinicians. And they come from all over the world. They from Germany, from Australia, they were from Egypt. And we all met in Dubai at a scientific conference. And we really made a big splash because Dubai is still very much a male-dominated country. And the conference itself, they were talking about, there's a 2-day topics taught by all women speakers, as if that should be something special. You know, it's so for me, I was very proud to be part of that, and strategically it to stand out, right? Because you're there at a very male-dominated conference. Or I recently went to Wales to speak at a mental health conference. I'm a dentist. By training, I'm a certified high-performance coach. But mental health is that part of our life that sometimes we don't talk about because sometimes people, look down on you if you're stressed and you have anxiety, or maybe your children have autism or whatever it is that prevent you from participating fully in life. But my friend put on an expo back in May that had 3,000 attendees. And now this event is an award where we recognize people who are making significant difference in the lives of people in the community. And so I was very honored to come from the US. And of course, it was a very tiring flight going over there, staying for a couple of days and flying back because I have other obligations. But I will make those trips and I will make those exceptions because I'm very clear that that's what moved the needle, right? It helps me stand out as an influencer on the global scale. And when I'm very clear with that, then it's very easy for me to make those sacrifices, right? To make those short trips. But I know I can achieve a lot than somebody who may say, you know what, I'm not going anywhere. I'm just doing virtual. And that's just perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But if your goal is to be an influencer and to stand out, then you make those kind of trips and you sustain those energy from how you carry yourself, right? You give yourself some me time while you're on these trips. You like when I'm flying, I'm booking that aisle seat so I can get up and walk around all the time, making sure that I'm okay after the 8 hours flight, that kind of thing. And it's the focus to make sure that you take care of yourself first before you go and take care of people all over all over the world. So very strategically, high performance is focusing on those things that you can grow yourself and you can help other people around you grow.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. And right there, just in your description of how you're able to make these trips and thinking about little things, just like booking the aisle seat so that you can walk around and have some energy. I wanted to ask more specifically about clarity. What are some more strategies or techniques that you can use that could help your clients achieve these goals? How do you help them really find that clarity?
Well, usually it starts with a conversation as to what's most important to them. And in coaching, we call that digging, right? So for example, if somebody say, well, I want that $1 million practice or business, it doesn't matter what business is. I want to do $1 million a year. The questions that may follow could be, well, why $1 million? Why is it important to make $1 million? And what are you going to do with that $1 million? And when you answer those questions, so for example, if I say, well, I want to make $1 million because with $1 million, I can, take my family on a expensive vacation, let's say an African safari, just for example. But why is this African safari important to you? Well, because I like adventure. So when we're digging and we're asking more questions, we find out that for this person, a sense of adventure is important, right? Being able to take care of the family at a higher level, taking these nice vacations is important. Well, can we just do that right now without making $1 million? Can you start putting some money into a saving account? And you know that the safari trip is, I don't know, let's just say it's $10,000. Can you just can you just save that 10,000 without trying to do $1 million business, right? Because what's ultimately is important to you is taking care of that family and be able to enjoy that sense of adventure. So when we get clear by asking specific questions that draw from the client something that maybe they don't think about, that it's actually the family and the enjoyment of life, and it's not so much the $1 million. Now, can we do all those things without trying to figure out how to do $1 million? Now, if we need $1 million to be able to do that, then the conversation is a little different. Well, let's talk about it. Let's go ahead and what are the steps where you can do, if you want to do $1 million a year, that means, let's just say it's 100,000 a month, and how many clients do you need, and what kind of procedures do you need to do to get to that 100,000 faster than just doing the very basic things. And there are strategies like doing a community event where you can even draw in more people to come to your business and make your business stand out. But as you see, when we ask those questions, we make the clients think more about what they want and why they want certain things. And then we can help with strategies on how to get there faster. Because as you know, I'll give you a simple example. When people are renting, right, home, they should be very comfortable. I'm just going to pay this much rent, and I don't have to get stressed about owning a house, right? There are people who rent for the majority of their lifetime versus the people who want to buy a home because they want that pride of ownership. They know they're going to have to deal with, fixing the roof and taking care of the lawn and all of these additional utilities that you deal with. But what you want is that pride of ownership, right? You want a little backyard where you can plant whatever you want instead of hanging pots in the apartment. So when somebody is comfortable with where they are, we ask the questions to inspire them to get to the next level. And maybe that's not what they want, right? And or somebody who want that next level and they don't know how to get there, we ask the question to see how driven they are, how bad do they want it, and then we can present the roadmap or the framework on how to get there in the most, in an accelerated way and, Maybe you have to invest some time to learn certain things. Maybe you have to invest money to do marketing. These are things that when people get more clear about it, then we can really know do you want it or not, right? If you want to do $1 million business and I tell you have to invest $5,000 every month to get to that, now we really know you want it or not. Because if you say, well, I don't want to spend 5,000, then maybe you don't want it bad enough. So those are some of the clarifying questions to get people to understand themselves more and to understand how urgent it is for them to get to that goal, or how drastic they want to change their lives. Because some people are more comfortable with baby steps and some people just want to accelerate.
I find that interesting because I'm listening and you're absolutely right. Some people, they don't want to invest time or money or almost anything. They just think that somehow magically this, the next, let's call it shiny object course or something, or some one thing that they do is going to make the big difference in their life. And I think that's really stressful. And that brings me to the topic of stress. What are some of your insights or tips for business professionals on how to take control of that and manage the stress? Because we all have stress. And some of it is probably more positive than others, but sometimes it's just like overwhelming that it's like, everyone talks about the universe is conspiring for you, but some days the stress is so much that you go, everything is against me. So how do you help people handle that?
Yeah, stress is one of my favorite topics because I believe for me, there's good stress and bad stress. The good stress is the one that help you stretch. Something that gets you a little bit more nervous. I remember the first time we did a press release, because I know that's what you help people with. And this was more than 10 years ago. We hosted a free dentistry day, and my coach at that time go, oh, we're going to do a press release. Well, what the heck is a press release? And he explained it. And for me at that time was, do I want to put myself out there to talk about this? That the kind of stress where everybody understand this. Am I good enough? Can I be out there? What if there's a bunch of people who want to come to my event for the free dentistry day? Do I need to put it out there like that? And I was pleasantly surprised. The local newspaper, Pasadena News, came to write an article, right? These are things that I didn't expect to happen, but it happened because I was stretched to, okay, let's just do it. We're not sure we're ready for this kind of publicity, but let's just do it. And that was the first time, we were featured in the media. And so the stress, that's the good stress, the stress that make you grow, right? The stress that inspire you to be out there because you know that you can set an example, whether you want it or not, for the other people around you, for similar businesses. I just did a post today on Facebook and talking about servant leadership. That's why I got inducted into this honorary society over the weekend. And people don't understand that you could do charity and become known, and that would help your business. Hopefully, you're not doing it to have your business. You're doing it because you're a nice person, out of the goodness of your heart. But you can actually leverage that so that people know about you as that kind of business. So the way I see that is that's the good stress. And like I said, maybe you're not ready for it, which is where you can have a coach or a mentor nudge you and let you know that it's okay to be stressed out that way. Then you have the kind of stress, which I call bad stress, where you're just signing up for everything and you overwhelm and you don't need to be. For example, if you just started out in your business and let's say you go to a BNI meeting, right? An e-women network meeting, and you meet all of these experts who are helping you with marketing and everything. and you decided that you want to do this and this and this and this, but you actually don't have the understanding of your core business, which marketing may be the best, which one is the little hinge that swing big door for you. For example, when people ask me, well, should I do Facebook ads? Or should I do SEO, right? Which one should I do to bring in more customers? My first question to them is always, where are your customers coming from right now? And then they go, I don't know. So now let's go back and figure that out first. Some of them may say, oh, you know what? I grow by word of mouth. And then I would ask, well, for the word of mouth, how many of them do you think? Is it 80%? Oh, I think at least 50%. Then my next thing would be asking them, you're at 50% asking for word of mouth. Do you think you can get it to 70%? Right? Because obviously you're already doing it. So why don't you maximize what you're doing right now before you go to the next thing? Right? And so these are some of the questions that get people to understand, you know what, before you go, I'm so stressed out. I got to figure out Facebook ad. And they told me I have to write all this information. And do I want to put a coupon or whatever it is for people to, click on for the Facebook ad? Why don't we focus on the referral basis, which is where your business grow first? Because it will still help your business grow. You're just optimizing it to the best level before you go and get the next one. So when people are in overwhelm and they stress because they have so much to do and they have that long to-do list, and then they feel guilty because they're trying to do work, and then they have family and they have other obligations. It's always about asking them, what's most important to you? That's the first thing that we do. So going back to the clarity, and then what are you doing right now that gets you to whatever you're trying to do? Have you optimized it? And if you have already optimized it, okay, well, let's talk about another thing, right? Like one more thing you can do. And you have a lot of time, you don't have a lot of time, you have a team, you have an expert who can help you, you have a virtual assistant. What do you have so that when you add this one thing on, it's not going to stress you out, right? You got to learn the new concept, which is stressful because it's new. But once you understand that concept, can you enlist somebody? Can you hire somebody to do that for you? I always tell people, I'm on stage and I talk about 10 things that you could do. It doesn't mean you're the one doing it, right? There's 10 things that you can do for your business, and maybe you're only going to do one thing. And then the rest of the things, that's where you get other people to help you. So you don't have to be that one person who does everything. And I think when people get stressed out, it's because they think they have to do everything.
I think you're right. It's interesting because I was listening to a story on NPR the other day, and they were talking about perfection and how perfection will actually create more problems for you because you're always seeking something that may or may not be possible. And one of the examples they were using was actually an airline pilot. And if they always were seeking perfection and they had to make a split decision about something that was happening, they would actually create more problems seeking perfection than to act in the moment with good enough, like
right.
If something was happening. And I thought that was such a good way to describe how perfectionism can harm you. And of course, perfectionism is very stressful. We were talking a lot about your Energizer Bunny-ness because, like I said, you really do so much, and you always have this you're a high performance person. I mean, you are an example of high performance in all you do. So how do you help your clients to increase their energy levels? What are some suggestions you have for that?
Yeah, and I'm going to say a few things, and I'm sure the listeners are going to say, "Well, I already know that," right? My challenge is common knowledge is not common practice. people would say, oh, I already know I'm supposed to do that, but then they don't do it. And if you do it, are you doing it regularly? Are you doing it all the time? So first and foremost, you want to keep up your energy. You make sure you sleep enough. When I'm traveling and I'm going, like yesterday is one of my typical long day, which is I'm starting from the East Coast, right? I'm waking up and I'm catching a flight at 7:15, which means I'm gonna get up at 4:30, so I can get to the airport by 5:15, 2 hours before, right? And then I go all the way back to California, and I went to bed at 10 p.m. and 10 p.m. would be the equivalent of 1 a.m. Over there. So really, I had maybe a 21 hour day, right? Um, and that's a long day. So, but don't do that all the time, right? You do it sometime. So when I'm on the plane, I will intentionally make myself fall asleep, right? I'm gonna I'm gonna put a little eye mask on. I'm gonna turn off the light and lean back and make sure that I'm gonna catch some sleep on the flight, because there's no reason for me to try to stay awake even though I was flying during daylight. But I know that I didn't have enough sleep during the night before because of the way I scheduled my flight. So take a nap, right? When you're working, force yourself to take a nap if you didn't have enough sleep the night before for whatever reason. I know my minimum hour of sleep. I know I can function with 5 hours. So if I get 5 hours in, I know I'm good. There's certain people, and that doesn't mean that I'm going to sleep for 5 hours. I strive for 7, but there's certain people, maybe your minimum is you actually need 7 hours, because without 7 hours of sleep, you're not functioning well. So you kind of need to know what your bottom line is, how much sleep you need, how much rest you need, and you need to supplement that with your nap, or maybe you're gonna take a break for 5-10 minutes and close your eyes and do a short meditation. Whatever you do to make sure that you have that time where you can fully relax, right? So that's one thing. I can pick up my mood very fast by watching funny videos. So I'll just go to YouTube and watch a funny video and laugh, because laughter can instantly change your mood. And you laugh, you look at something funny, and then you go back to work, right? Because versus you going into a Facebook group and there's this long discussion about, I don't know, whatever that is concerning to your industry, and people are giving negative opinions and things like that. That doesn't help. So if you have some time, I would say go watch a funny video, right? I pull up photos that make me laugh, like photos in my phone. I think about those great memories, the recent trip that we just took with the family. So I would say have something to go to, right? That will be uplifting for your mood. Instead of you turn on the TV, you go on Facebook to randomly look at stuff. You're giving your attention to something that you're giving control of your emotion to somebody else. Why don't you have your own thing where you go there and you can look at it and you instantly laugh? Like in my office, in one of my dental office in the doctor's room, I have a picture of my 2 boys, and I think they were, maybe 5 and 3 at that time, and it's just the 2 of them looking at each other laughing. And it's just funny, you go and you look at it and you just start laughing, and it's there in the doctor's office for that reason, though, right? I could have other picture, but that picture is there because the 2 boys just look funny, and have those little things to break up the mood, right? To break up the tension in your day, and then doing things in moderation. So you're eating well, especially when you're travel, so things just get so messed up, like you're stuck in a hotel and you're eating whatever food, right? So for me, it's always, okay, I just need to eat a lot of vegetable, right? The time zone is off. So when people are eating lunch, I'm eating breakfast, So I'm not going to try to eat a lunch because it's actually not lunchtime per se, right? I'm only going to be here for a couple of days. So making sure you eat enough to keep up your energy, but at the same time, you're not eating where you know you're eating this meal and you're going to feel drowsy, right? But there's certain food that can be heavier than others, and avoiding those food, because if you're eating those food, you know it's kind of going to drag down your energy. So I think to be really intentional is the word that we're looking for. If you want to keep up your energy, don't do things that you know is going to drag you down mentally and emotionally. Um, Doing things that you know will keep your mood up. Uh, find things that will be good for you, because you're the only one that know what's good for you, right? For me, the ocean is good for me. I got to Wales. It was really funny. I'll tell you real quick. I booked the flight to be there early so I could spend time with my friends, right? Before the event. I got there and the luggage was lost, right? So I didn't have my luggage. And this one time when I have a big luggage, I pack all these nice clothes, to be speaking, and the whole luggage is not there. And my friend came and picked me up. And she said, "Oh, by the way, our event is in downtown, and downtown is shut down for the day because there is a marathon." So she comes to pick me up. We can't even go to the hotel. So she drove me straight to this little cottage, a restaurant on the beach. And we met with some other friends, and we're just sitting there looking in the water and enjoying our breakfast. And then after that, she had to drive me around to go buy some clothes so I can speak on her stage the next day. But the fact that we went to the ocean to sit there and just relax, that was immediately uplifting. It instantly changed the mood. I'm just like, well, woman, if we can't buy clothes, I'm looking like this tomorrow on your stage. Okay, so I'm just letting you know ahead of time. So we couldn't even check in the hotel until 4 o'clock because the marathon ended at 4. So that's when you could go and check in the hotel. So sometimes go with the flow is the best thing, to be flexible. And people get so tense about things. For me, that was my second time where my luggage didn't get there on international travel. So I just accept that as a fact, right? And I just accepted that if I don't get my clothes, I'm just going to go buy something in red and black because that's my color, and I'm going to be okay with it. And so, to your point about perfectionism, when you have to be perfect, like when I'm doing dentistry, yes, I have to be perfect. When I'm traveling as a speaker, no, I don't have to be perfect, right? When things don't go as planned, I don't have to be perfect. And then if for some reason it's not perfect, then you should be okay with, okay, it's screwed up. So this is the best that we could do for now. As long as that's not our standard. For the next event, for the next thing, we'll go back to our standard. But for this one, because of whatever circumstance, we're gonna be okay with what it is.
That makes a lot of sense. Like you said, in dentistry, when you're working on someone's mouth, it has to be done correctly and has to be perfect. And like you said, it reminded me, I went to India and they lost my luggage. And there I was, I had, travel clothes, and it took 3 days for the luggage to catch up. And I figured out what happened. It was because somebody else had booked my flight and I was missing a little piece of instruction, which was I was supposed to go pick up my luggage from this other place and then put it on a different flight.
Right. But no, right.
Because it wasn't any airline that I would have ever flown, if I had booked it. So, But that's, now I know if I ever travel again, that to ask that one little question, like, do I need to go get my luggage and then transfer it myself? Or, it eventually got there, but I was running around with the same outfit for 3 days. It all worked out. So some of the energy stuff are kind of like challenges. What would you say are the most common challenges that entrepreneurs or business professionals face? Would you say that there's one that is like, Okay, here's the number one challenge of all times, and maybe add a few more.
I think the number one challenge is time management. And it really has to do with your mindset. So my coach, Brendan Bouchard, would say it's not time management, it's attention management. You know, like where do you put your attention? Where do you put your focus? Because you should be focusing it on what's most important. And really, if you think about it, for any one of us in a day, maybe we have 2 or 3 things that are most important. We could have 10 things that we're supposed to be looking at, but maybe most important, maybe 2 or 3. And why don't we focus on those, right? Those 2 or 3 things that are most important. And like I said earlier, the rest of them, maybe it's not going to be you who need to focus on, maybe it's your team members or your business associates, right? Like people who are helping you with whatever the event or the transaction is supposed to be. So if you are to look at anything and just focus on the 3 most important things, I think time management is going to be so much easier. Because a lot of time when people say, I don't have enough time, it's because sometimes they're focusing on the wrong thing, right? And like we just talked about, let's talk about that travel. Time management. I got there and my friend couldn't even get into her venue to set up her things, right? And so now we got a condensed amount of time because I guess she didn't know the downtown was going to be all shut down. And so instead of having most of the day to set up her event, she only has the evening, like 3 hours to set up her event. So focusing on, okay, we're going to have 3 hours. How can we do it as as fast as we can, right? Or with me and her, once I told her, you know what, I just need to get a new pair of pants and a blouse. Now it's just easier for her to say, okay, let me take you here and here. And those are the 2 places where we're going to find these 2 things real fast for you, rather than, well, let's go clothes shopping because that could be a whole day kind of thing. So when we focusing on only 2 or 3 things, then the time management is not that challenging, right? When I had 3 dental offices and I have 3 kids, and I remember there was at least 1 year where each one of them is at a different school. And when they have this thing where they call minimum day, so instead of regular day, whatever that is, it just instead of 3 hours at school, it became 2 hours on the minimum day. My solution to that was I'm just going to take my day off. I can't manage all these minimum days and trying to remember, right? It's just so stressful. So my way of managing that was to just take one thing off my plate, which is the dental office, and I'll just focus on the kids because the minimum day is kind of the exception. And I'm not saying that everybody can do the same thing, because if you're working for someone, you can't just say, I'm taking my day off. But that's where entrepreneurship come in. And I think a lot of us, we don't realize that it's okay to make those decisions. To say, I'm taking the day off from work and I'm going to just do this, rather than, no, I got to do this every day, the work every day. And then when I have some of these things that family related, that I need to add on, that now I'm all stressed out. So as entrepreneur, we run our own business, and we should be able to sometimes make those difficult decisions, which is why one of the focus on high performance is courage, right? Is now look at it. Which one do we not have to do today? Well, but I need to take care of it. No, I know, but if you don't take care of it today and you take care of it tomorrow or the day after, my joke to the client is, would anybody die? No. Would the business be on fire or something? No. Okay, well, then I think you should just let it go for today and focus on these things. And sometimes we say, like, you have to own it, right? You own it, whether you are actually running it, or maybe you decided you're not going to run it today and you're going to step away from it, and giving yourself that grace that today I just can't do everything. I'm just going to choose 3 things and that's it. And the rest of it can fall apart. And tomorrow I pick it up and be okay with
it. That makes a lot of sense because since I have grandchildren now that I get the pleasure of hanging out with quite often, I've had to make choices like that. And originally you feel guilty because you go, well, I should be doing this for my business. But then you do ask those questions, what's the worst case scenario? Is it okay? And it's like, yeah, it can wait till tomorrow. And then you allow yourself to go do what you need to do because you have to realize, what really is more important, these little people or this
exactly.
project that doesn't necessarily have to be done right this split second. But I think that's important because everything you're talking about, you're always asking these questions of yourself. So that's why now I really understand why you say that clarity is so important, because if you are clear on what it is, all of your reasons and why you want this and, what is involved in this business, then you're able to make these decisions very rapidly and just keep moving, just like going with the flow, like you said, with your and just like having the red and black, it makes perfect sense because no matter what, that if you can find red and black in an emergency, a pair of black pants and a red top or whatever it is, there you go. You're set, and you don't have to make these decisions. It reminds me of the stories you've heard about Steve Jobs and his black turtleneck, and
right.
Mark Zuckerberg. They wear similar, same color or a T-shirt or whatever, and it's also that they don't have to be making these decisions about, well, what am I going to wear today? Because that's like a trivial decision compared to some of these other decisions. You mentioned team. What are a lot of people, they start out as singlepreneurs or, entrepreneurs all by themselves, but you talked about team building or creating a team. What are your suggestions for, like, how do you know when you need a team? Should you look at and have a team to start with? What's your strategy on that?
Yeah, we all start out as what we call solopreneur, right? Like we're doing it about ourselves. And I think let's just talk about me as an example. So there are certain things that I don't like to do. I'm not real strong with. And I ask myself, do I have to know this? And the answer is no, right? Like I need to understand it, but do I actually need to know how to do all this? No. So for example, technology, computer, right? All of these savvy things about computer, graphic design, those kind of things. I don't need to know all that. So if whatever I'm doing requires that, I'm going to outsource. And once I make that decision, I just take a big load off of my chest. Like, oh, I don't need to design this flyer, right? I don't need to make this thing look pretty. Well, that's not my strength. My strength may be, I want this very, very simple, a book cover, right? I could write great content for the book. And then when it comes to the book cover, I'll be sitting there going, but if I can describe it to a graphic designer and say, hey, the book is about this, and I kind of have this idea, and all of a sudden they send me 5 pictures, and now my job is only to pick one. Or I pick the one and I say, but, I want the sky to be more blue and I want this to do. So it simplifies my life when I'm not doing something that I'm not strong. It doesn't, that's not my talent. So somebody else's talent, let me pay somebody else to do the work. So the team could be somebody that you outsource a task to. In my dental office, obviously the team would be more like employees, right? Somebody who work in the front and somebody who do the dental assisting, that kind of thing. So in the dental office, the team is something I must have. But say in my speaking career or author or high performance coaching, there are certain things that I will outsource because I don't want to spend the time on it. I understand it. I don't want to do it. And as you know, I may call you and say, hey, I got this thing going on. Can you do a press release for me? Right? I know how to do a press release because you Google it, it'll tell you to do a press release, right? Yeah. I just got indoctrinated into this honor society. They gave us a template on how to do the press release. It's actually say this. Well, I'm not going to do it myself because that's not my strength. So just because you have the tool to do it and you could do it, it doesn't mean you should do it. So for me, the team could be a part of the advisor. Like when you have a business, you should have a CPA should be part of your team, maybe an attorney should be part of your team, or maybe you need an employee so you can just do virtual assistants. I think going back to the very beginning when we talk about clarity, what's most important to you? If you say what's important to me is time with my family, well, then don't try to learn how to do a website, right? I know how to do a landing page. I would start the landing page, throw in some pictures, write some words, and then I send it to the VA. Okay, finish it up. I did the skeleton, so you kind of know what I want. And then you use your creative side and, everything and you do the rest of it. Because I could be asking blankly, okay, can you do a landing page? And they may send back to me something that is totally not my style. But once I give them that framework, and that's a little bit of the thinking and, what we prefer, send it to somebody and just let them do it. Yes, it will cost you money to have that team member help you, but how valuable is that versus spending several hours trying to do something that you're not great at, right? You get to the end product, but then you spend 3 hours, which is, the 3 hours could be just sitting there and watching a movie with my kids. And I would enjoy that much more than trying to figure out, the graphic design. So to me, team is not just employees. Team could be the business associate that you work with. And they're the one that will help you. They'll take off the load from your plate so that everybody wins.
I think that's a really good point that your team members don't always have to be like they don't even have to be permanent team members. Right. They could just be somebody like, for example, you call on me on occasion when you want something specific. It isn't that I'm like on payroll or anything. And I think that's something that people have to realize, that you can have a very nice team of people working with you, that they're there like on call, waiting for you,
Yeah, well, like you're the expert, right? So why should I figure out how to do this? I know the expert. I'm going there. So when I'm coaching people, like I'm coaching this dentist since December, and she's in awe because she said, well, anytime I have a question, you have an answer. I have an answer, but I'm not the one doing it. Like she said, I'm looking at this building to buy, and then I'm reaching out to a group of realtors, and I say, my client lives in Texas, this town, and I need a broker. And then here comes a broker who can help my client, right? So to me, that's part of the team. Like your connections, you make them part of your team, and you ask for their expertise when you need it, and hopefully vice versa, they'll ask for your expertise when they need to help somebody else. And so for me, the team is unless it's specific to the industry, like in the dental office, the team can be real big, real broad, real global.
Yeah, that all makes a lot of sense. I wanted to ask you about marketing, because I know that you have, again, worked with some of the highest level marketing people known out there, Dan Kennedy, Brendan Bouchard, and probably people that I don't even know about. But what would you say are the most effective marketing strategies that when you're talking with your clients that you have them either look at or start with?
Well, it's absolutely something that you help people do, which is to become an influencer. And it's difficult sometimes because first you got to get into that mindset that that you're an influencer in the sense that people are listening to you already, right? So, and this is something that I learned from one of my very first business coach, David Fagan, that you're in the advice business, right? So for a dentist, people already coming into to us and they have concerns about their oral health, and we're helping them with the advice, right? And so there's trust built in, unless you mess it up. And how do you leverage that? That you let them know that you are the expert, when you want them to trust their oral health to you, and then it's their family, and then it's their neighbor and their coworker and the community, right? Then so the next step would be doing something for the community. So now the community is looking at you and say, oh, that dental office is a little different. They're doing certain things that are different, and they have raving fans and all that. If we're doing something that is more global, we're not a brick and mortar like a coaching business, or could be an accounting business, or even it could be attorney, right? Because nowadays those services, you don't have to be in the office, right? You could be giving advice to somebody. Let's say you're in Southern California, you may be giving advice to somebody in Northern California. So now how do you make sure that people know you as that expert in that particular field? Again, you have to establish yourself as an influencer. You need to have the third party endorsement, and it's not just your clients. That's where PR becomes important. That's where media become important. Could be pay media, rent media, free media. You're on social media platform. People would ask, like my kids, right? Well, mom's on Facebook. Well, but they know that I'm on Facebook for business. Why? Because I have multiple businesses, and we both know people who are on Facebook who don't really have business because they're actually using it just for social purpose, right? Social connection, and that's fine. And then I know people who should be spending the time to do their social media for their business, but they are on there and they are involved in the chatting and the talk about something that is not really helping their business, that they could be using that 20 minutes time to, to talk about themselves, really, and about their business, rather than talk about other things. So to be very intentional about what we do and to talk about us when it's appropriate, and establishing ourselves as an influencer, I think is the first thing in marketing, and that you're comfortable doing that. Then you can use other marketing strategies. Then you can use the Facebook ads, or doing SEO, or you send out postcards, or you advertise in magazine, or you get on local TV. All of those kind of things. As long as you understand that you're doing that to grow your business, because a lot of professional, especially healthcare professional, we are trained not to talk about ourselves from an ethics standpoint, right? You're not supposed to be advertising that you're superior, etc. And when I have conversation like that, I would tell them, well, then don't advertise that you do superior dental work. Why don't you advertise about you having a great team? Why don't you advertise about your patient having a great experience? Why don't you advertise about you doing things for the community? Those are also advertising. You can put out a Facebook ad about that, or you can do a press release about that. And it has nothing to you're not saying that I'm the best dentist in town, right? If instead of saying I'm the best dentist in town, I'm going to say I have patients who've been with me for 25 years. Essentially saying the same thing, but now I'm not bragging about how great my dentistry is. And sometimes when you're new at this, you don't know that. That's why you have a coach or a mentor who help you say the same thing in a different way, right? To convey the same idea and to help with your marketing. And so I think a lot of us can benefit from that just because the expert can help you look at things at a different angle and say things a different way and help bring new perspective.
I agree with what you're saying, especially about the community. A lot of people don't realize how valuable the efforts of you out in the community. For example, you have your foundation that is helping with the dental needs of veterans. And that, I think that's something that's very powerful. I have a local realtor client just here in town. And during the hurricane that we experienced a year ago, she actually was out there just doing nice things for people. She wasn't promoting her business in real estate, but she was delivering meals to people who couldn't leave their houses, for example. She made sure they had water. She actually drove around and took videos to show people the damage in some of these little areas of town. And I really think that really humanized her, because I think that's a big part of the PR and the influencer. And, everybody says be authentic, and that word, we all know what that means, but to actually show you being a real living, breathing human being, just going about your business of being a good person, I think that's very valuable. And so I really appreciate that you expanded on that a lot. So again, we've talked a lot about the fact that you travel and work with all of these high-level coaches and that you're a high-level coach. How do you stay up to date on all the latest trends and developments in the business coaching industry and also the dental? Obviously, you're out there doing all these things. How do you connect with all of these adventures you're having?
Well, I think the key thing is to be in the right circle. And what I mean by that is to hang out with the right people, right? So if you are aspiring to grow, go with the people who have a growth mindset, right? I'm sure people, let's say you go to a conference and you meet them and they say, my business is at this level, and then you meet them 2 years later and it's the same thing, right? So that's not a person with a growth mindset, even though they're going to the conference, but they're not applying, they're not doing things. I love it when people see me and say, "Oh, I really enjoy you grow," watching you grow. And then I would always tell them, yeah, too bad it's not physically. But anyway, the point is, when people see you grow, and to my point about using social media, right? If I'm sharing on social media my growth journey, I will attract those people, right? Either the people who want to grow or the people who are growing and they want to invite me into their circle, or, as a connection. And so if you put yourself in those places where you can always be stretched because other people like you are growing faster than you or whatever, or you can also lend a helping hand and help other people grow. So it's in a collaborative community. I think you can enjoy the journey of growing versus if you put yourself in a place where people are complacent. People don't really care for somebody who have outgrown others, or maybe they talk down or they criticize you for doing whatever. You don't need that, right? And then going back to clarity, if I know I do X because I want a certain goals, I'm going to ignore everybody who criticized me because unless they understand why I'm doing it by having a conversation with me, people are very quick in saying things, passing on their judgment without really having all the knowledge. Now, do I spend the time to explain all that? Not really. I always tell people, you know, you want to know more about me? Why don't you just check out my social media? Because I know what I put out there on social media, which are things that I do that has to do with growth and has to do with, business acceleration, and then the people that I hang around with, the people that I'm learning from. If you look at that, you know what I'm about, right? And so if you want to make certain comments, but you don't really know me, I actually don't really care, because it just means that you don't know me. And I don't need to take your comment into consideration. Now, if it's somebody who are at my level who say certain things, and yeah, I may want to justify why I'm doing certain things. So to be very mindful about who you pay attention to, who you give attention to, and time to is very, very important. And I find that if you're around the right people, the conversation is always about going up, right? And it doesn't drag you down. You're always getting inspired and or intrigued about, so how do I do that, right? If that person is doing that, and finding out ways to grow yourself and grow your business and serve your community better.
That really makes a lot of sense, because they do say the people you hang out with makes a huge difference on what is going on in your life, and I think that's really true. So, how can people connect with you, Dr. Emily?
Yeah, I'm on social media, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Instagram. People can go to my website. It's dremilyletran.com. So it's DREMILYLETRAN. I actually have a free download on there on business acceleration model, which is what I use to grow my business for the past 26 years when I have my first dental office. And a lot of that framework is what we discuss, about giving back, about being very clear in what you do, about learning, about investment, invest in yourself, invest in learning, invest in your team, right? Getting a team member who can help make your life easier. So that framework is on there. It's like an 8-page download that you can download and learn more. There's a one on there where you can book a call and we can have a chat about how to grow your business. So there are resources there. You can go to the website. I'm hosting events in different parts of the country. Again, if you go to the website and check out events, you can see all of those events. And I would love to have people come and hang out, and we can connect and learn from each other.
Well, I remember when I think I first met you, it was actually on an international cruise to Cuba, and we were speaking on this cruise, and that actually is one of the big adventures, because obviously now Cuba is closed. So we were probably on one of the last trips into that country that had not been open for very long. So that was a really good memory for me. So everyone, go check out dremilyletran.com. Like she said, she's got lots of resources. And if you want to up level, you definitely want to talk with Dr. Emily. And again, she coaches not only dental professionals, but other entrepreneurs and other professionals. And if you really were listening, a lot of what she was saying, and it made me feel good to know. And she said it starts with becoming an influencer. And that's what I've been teaching for all these years, is you need to become an influencer so that people listen to what you have to say. And then, of course, you can do good things with what you're able to provide to people. So before I let you go, Dr. Emily, do you have any last words to share?
Yes, I would love for everybody to take action. It's great to listen to a podcast, and thank you for sharing your expertise, Tammy, and sharing the platform. And thank you, people, for taking the time to listen to us. But nothing changed until you take action. And so I would challenge you to take action. I know I said a few things, different tips and strategies. Just pick one and go back and do the one. And you can come back and listen and do more. You can take notes and just pick one a day, two a day. Just the small changes that you do, which I challenge you to make it into a habit as a high performer. Because when you change, you're not just changing yourself, you're also changing the lives of people around you. If you're a parent, you will certainly change the lives of your kids and your spouse and your extended family. And if you're business owners and you change, you will change the lives of your employees and of the community that you're in. So take action and make changes.
Well, thanks a lot. And everybody, like Dr. Emily said, take action, exceptional leverage coaching with Dr. Emily Letran. It takes action to win. With that, thank you, everyone. This is Dr. Tamara Patzer. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.